Hello, child. You've strayed too far from the path, and now trapped between the mirror and the thorns of the hedge. Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole, a narrative horror podcast set in the world of Changeling, the Lost. Due to adult language and violent nature of the stories told, this podcast is rated M for mature, and we strongly encourage listener discretion.
Episode 2, Damsel in Distress.
Black fog slow crawling over the hillside. Cold woods go calling under the outside.
Hello, child. It's time to wake up? Yes, you fell asleep beneath the Quench-Slayer plum tree. I did not watch for long, but I did borrow your scarf to send the briar wolves astray. I hope you don't mind. I didn't mean to leave you cold. Please, take my cloak and hood. Seems to fit you very well. No, I'll keep my lantern, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, you seem parched. Here, take a drink from my water skin. Yes, it's just water, I promise. Shall we continue? I am the Vathek. I am a poet's dream, and as such I've taken many forms over the centuries. I'm not the first to hold this title, and I suspect I won't be the last. I walk the roads you've never seen, the streets between the streets, the hidden paths that separate the dreaming from those who are sleeping. I've always wondered what would happen if someone fell asleep here, in the land of dreams. What ideas would take roots in someone's mind? What would gestate? What do you think? But I digress. Where were we last time? Once upon a time, a young girl was freed from a tree by a man with horns like a bull and a very wide nose and chest. After a long silent time, he offered to take her to a new home, one that she would want to go to. She put her hand in his, and they walked the paths of the gray forest until it became a cornfield, then a desert, then a rose garden. The girl found she couldn't resist the urge to take, so she plucked one and sealed their fate. Suddenly, a sound like a million locust wings roared through the air, followed by the crashing of trees. A great creature of black fur stained red with blood stomped toward them and flashed 3 sets of teeth amid its massive human-shaped head. It proved to have a diamond for a heart and a spade ready for the girl's own. The bullman pleaded that she be spared by the beast, and the creature refused. The bullman cried, "Then take me as your servant until my dying day, but only after I've brought her home, as I've promised her, for that is my pledge." The beast considered a quick meal or a long investment in a servant. It accepted the bullman's oath and conditions, and allowed them both to leave, eager for them to complete their quest. The girl asked when they would find her new home. The bullman said that they never would, for he had no interest in becoming the Blood Rose Queen's servant or dinner. He claimed that home was where the heart was, and since hers would never settle, he would have to keep guarding her. He would have to keep her close. And as long as she never had a destination in mind, the girl who could never be found could never become one of the lost. And so they continued to walk, hand in hand, exploring new paths and hollows, markets and kingdoms carved from old trees or settled in the bones of long-dead giants. One day, when the girl had grown into a woman, she admitted to the bullman, after a night and a day in his arms, that he owned her entirely, mind, body, soul, and heart. She said she never needed a home as long as she had him. and his eyes went wide with terror, for in the distance he could hear the sound of 1,000,000 locust wings quickly approaching.
I remember when I first made it back from Arcadia, tried to find my wife. Sometimes we crawl our way back. Your hair gets replaced by feathers, scales are on your face, knees replaced with gears and rotary plates, and we find that time hasn't passed right. Sometimes a season in their world is years, sometimes it's a moment. When I scrambled out, coughing up Miracle Grow and rose petals by the Roosevelt Avenue Home Depot, I had been gone 8 years. I thought it was 1. I found my wife holding my hand in a fold-out bed borrowed from the hospital. I watched through the front window of my own house as I flatlined from leukemia in her hands. Sometimes, when they take you, your keeper's gonna leave something behind. Another you. Slap together some rags, thorns from the hedge, drop of blood, rotten gourd with googly eyes on top, something posing for a heart, and it comes to life. The mask forms over it, the weird stamps it with approval, and there you are. All your memories, all your ambitions, but just off. I attended my own funeral. I hid in the back. I watched people I never met, neighbors I never spoke to, talking about me like a close friend, calling me an anchor of the neighborhood. My wife was older, sure, but she seemed lighter on her feet, brighter in spite of her grief. It seemed in my last years, I put her before the job. I took her for walks, left her candles in the bathroom in honor of her mother, cooked for her. Son of a bitch was better to her than I'd ever been. And it didn't seem right, stepping back into his place, since it wasn't my place anymore. He gave her such a good life. You didn't need to hear that. And if you tell anyone, you'll be face first in a wood chipper faster than you can say coming up roses. Thankfully, Green Gracie has the night off, and she's willing to help us out investigate the hospital. She waits about a block away from Mt Sinai, in a high-buttoned silk blouse and sandals. I explain to her what we need from her, and she nods her face the way a sunflower nods in the breeze. It's hard to trust one of the Fairest, but if it's nothing too crazy, she'll normally do anything for Pete, the same way he thinks about doing everything to her. If she wants, you can't resist her. She'll be in your bones. She's in your marrow. She hit Pete with it months ago and he still hasn't caught on. I tell Gracie that it's just a safe reconnaissance, in and out. I take a fake hospital badge out of the glove compartment and I contract it so that it looks like Gracie's mask. She touches the rearview mirror in the truck so Pete and I can watch what she's doing. She asks an orderly who's standing outside for a cigarette break to borrow a doctor's coat, and the orderly quickly obeys, committing her face and curves to his memory for later use with no doubt a packet of tissues and a bottle of hand lotion. We watch through the mirror as Gracie enters the hospital and activates her vainglory, clicks her heels together, just like fucking Glenda. The front desk people scramble when they see her, trying to offer her coffee, get her access to whatever she wants. And she's smart. She asks for an escort. She doesn't even need to show the fake badge that says she's from the Surgeon General's Office of Internal Affairs, which I'm hoping is a real thing. She's looking over records of the last few nights, tapping keyboards, smiling at passing people like it's fucking natural as breathing. No record of anyone named Wallace or even Kip visiting or checking in or checking out. Finding nothing, she holds 3 fingers in front of her fake glasses, which are serving as our periscope into the hospital. 3 fingers, signaling she hasn't found anything. Ah, hell. Might be a wild goose chase. Might be a loose end. We watch as she looks around the corner, and not seeing anybody, She heads downstairs, toward the morgue. Suddenly, someone's in front of her, someone all tall and dark, and I didn't see where the son of a bitch came from, but there's a hand in front of her view, meaning that he just grabbed her by the face and... Shit! Gracie!
Hello?
You are impersonating a doctor in my hospital. Your ID is a fake, and you are clouding the minds of my staff. If you scream, no one will hear you. Explain what you're doing here.
Are you in charge here?
Strike one. Explain what you're doing here.
I needed access to personal records. Please. A friend has gone missing, and I believe she checked into this hospital.
Strike two. That's what the front desk is for. You were going through sensitive materials.
Because my friend is unnatural, like me. A tall, thin black woman with giant eyes and naturally white hair. It's tied up top like a samurai bun. So she has been here.
She still is, though she's incapacitated. In fact, she was never alive to begin with.
A fetch.
You understand what I'm talking about?
How badly do you want to know the truth?
This woman's body was dumped on our doorstep with a critical fracture to her skull, most likely by a heavy bludgeoning injury. Upon examining the body for autopsy, I noticed the flesh crumble away beneath the scalpel. The moment her heart stopped beating, she dissolved into this pile, this scarecrow of yarn, white fur, and an old Halloween mask. The blood immediately vanished as well. This is a very curious incident. Curiouser and curiouser. I know magic. I've witnessed will workers before, but this is entirely alien even to my kind.
Please tell me, was there anything inside the scarecrow that glowed? Like a trinket? A coin? Something in the hollow of the chest?
No.
Then it wasn't her real fetch. Maybe a copy or a knockoff. Who makes a copy of a fetch? Why keep in touch with their own fake self? I know this is going to sound crazy, but may I please have these shoes? They can help me find who I'm looking for.
I'm afraid I have many more questions for you.
Do you intend to keep me, Doctor? Where's the door? It was just there. Why can't I see it? Oh my god. You're a bloodsucker.
I intend to drain you of everything, and you're going to let me. You can start by unbuttoning your blouse.
You will not touch me.
Interesting. I cannot seem to approach you. Still, I notice your pulse is quickening and you've begun to perspire. You don't know how long you can keep this power up, do you? Oh yes, please, open another drawer in the morgue. That one is empty, and I can tell you from personal experience it fits two quite snugly.
I don't suppose you mind if I hedge my bets.
Where did all that foliage come from? That closet was empty. These vines, what are you doing? What have you done?
Had you been more friendly, we could have worked something out. Now I'm going to sculpt terrible nightmares in that head of yours. Me and all my friends.
I go to the front desk, asking where the pretty new doctor went. They try to stop me from going through the double doors, and Pete picks up the ficus plant in the waiting room. It snaps into blade-like rigidity, and it grows thorns in his grasp. Before I can tell him no, he swings it into the first man who grabbed me. Good thing we're already in a hospital. Looks like it hurt. Sounded like it hurt. He hits the ground like it hurt. Now we need to fucking run. You couldn't just pull the fire alarm, Forrest Gump? Pete goes clubbing through the front door, knocking over a woman in crutches. He picks me up and makes a run for it. I know he's looking for a door, but all around us are gates and glass doors. If it's not solid, we can't escape. Stop panicking, squash brain! Not in public! I yell at him as he runs into the street. It's still early enough in the evening for a taxi to be idling outside of the hospital front doors, and Pete moves toward it with purpose. The driver locks his doors and eyes us. I feel a tingle of glamour and try to kick my way out of Pete's grasp. Nice try. He's gonna try to make a break for the hedge in the middle of the goddamn street. He rips off the top of the trunk, and I see a stony well covered in vines and red-colored ivy leading down. What I don't see is its bottom. He tosses me inside, and I tumble awkwardly into the world between worlds. When I come to, there's a faint, blue mood light glowing all around me. Lantern lichens are puffing out from between the stones at the bottom of this place. Shiny stuff by my hands, coins reflecting the light. This is a wishing well. The whole floor is caked with moldy coins. No, a couple of new ones. I take a very shiny one because, why not? In a heavy splash, Pete joins me and gingerly lifts me to my feet. He gently pushes on a square stone, and it crumbles away, revealing a path behind. I can hear dripping but not rushing water, so it's safe for us to boulder past. When you're dealing with the lost kiddo, as I'm sure you have, there are 3 things you never get in between. An ogre and his meal, a Fairest and her reflection, and an elemental with a direction. Pete shoulders us into the underground cavern, and it's also lit by lantern lichen. From its direction, I assume we're being led back beneath the hospital. Hopefully Gracie's gotten here as well. When you're in the hedge, in a developed or a busy area like a city with a lot of populated people feeding it with dreams, the hedge tends to mirror the building structures around itself, sculpting the thorny vines and poisonous fruit to mimic human-friendly structures. Seems all the death of the hospital has fed the carnivorous mushrooms down here like fertilizer, and I climb on Pete's back to avoid the pinpricks of the hungry fungi. The plant life moves aside for Pete. It knows to leave him alone. So the tunnel that we're in opens into a wet, muddy burrow, maybe 12 feet high. We spot a body crouched in one corner, and Pete rushes at it. Gracie looks up at us with a weak smile, and I slide off to check her. Thankfully, Pete didn't get a hold of her first. Idiot thinks that since his bones are made of oak that everybody is just as tough. He'd probably end up lifting her up by her hair and shaking her to see if anything fell loose. I find bad news. Her ankle's definitely twisted. She winces when I touch it. The area doesn't have any useful goblin fruit, so Pete touches Gracie's ankle, evoking the spring contracts of healing, and the roots spread out from his fingers, tickling and lingering on her leg. Once his contract wears off, she's at least able to walk now. Full night's rest and she should be okay. Gracie tells me what she learned and shows me the boots she stole from the fake fetch. Now for anyone else, this is where the trail would go cold. But we're changelings after all. I hold the shoes, these ridiculous oversized crocs, and they respect the oath surrounding me. My path to finding Kip would be, after all, clear. I stipulated that. Some loose earth topples over, leading to an upward slope. Pretty wide, too. We follow it to, I guess what would be the parking lot of the hospital on Earth. But it's much larger here. Big clearing, loose, stony gravel, thorns webbing together to cover the dense bamboo forest to the side. Bamboo? Somebody in the neighborhood must have planted stuff in their front lawn, or maybe they've got 6 or 7 baskets in the kitchen window, or maybe they dreamt of it on and off again. Middle of the clearing is a hut. Looks like a brand new mobile home trailer thatched to a tent designed by Tim Burton, all straight black and white lines. Huh. This might even be Kip's. I mean, she's so mobile and skittish when you meet her. I didn't think she'd have something stationary like a hollow. Maybe it's not hers. I still want to check out the trailer, obviously because the shoes are telling me that's where they came from. But it feels way too easy. Pete feels it long before I do. There's a shift in the air. A tree is shoved aside, and something like a lion burbles and launches out into the clearing. Long, lean, cat-like body, flat, toothly head and bulging round eyes like a stargazer fish. Its rider is what scares the bejesus out of me. because it's obviously tamed this fucking hedge beast. The rider's gotta be one of two things. Either a hobgoblin or one of the lost who spent too much time in the glamour fumes of the hedge. Purplish skin, rough head with a pointed bottom jaw. He's wielding something like a spiked mace, and his red cloak's tatters twist and curl like living snakes. But the cloak tops itself in a point, and that's what's making my blood freeze. "Oh shit, it's Redcap!" I yell. I had really hoped somebody would have driven this mad gristle grinder out of town by now, but I guess his new ride gave him some extra muscle. We're right out in the open, and we're not fast enough to reach the thorns or hide or sculpt any kind of defense. Can't make Gracie run on that ankle either, and I'm sure as fuck didn't come here expecting for a fight. So it really comes down to my personal stoic swamp thing and a goddamn cannibal.
Down the Rabbit Hole is part of the Chroniclers of Darkness. It is written by Uncle Yo. Original music and production by Jimmy Lynn. Special thanks to Eliza Rickman for permission to use her music. Find her and become entranced by her at elizarickman.com. Thanks to White Wolf Publishing and Onyx Path Publishing for this elegant game of beautiful madness. Comments? Questions? Hollows for rent? Say your name 3 times into a dark bathroom mirror. Trust us, the gentry are listening. This podcast is produced thanks to Patreons like you. Join us at patreon.com/UncleYo or contact us at facebook.com/UncleYo. Thanks for any shares, retweets, likes, and tokens. Game on. Include everyone. And remember that death is more merciful than the keepers. Catch you next week.